Sagittarius rising. How you doing, Sag? This is your reading for the full moon in Taurus. It's happening either on the 15th or the 16th of November, depending on where you live and what part of the planet you're on. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. Excuse me. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language, which is going to happen throughout the reading, and it brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through. So as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So as I said, this is your reading for the Taurus full moon. And I'm going to be breaking down the astrology while pulling some tarot cards. I read for the rising sign. So for those of you who don't have Sagittarius in the first house, look to what house it does fall in your natal chart. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in Sagittarius. It will be as if that energy has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign will still link in. You've just got to bring in your natal chart meaning with it. So, Sagittarius rising, let me just say where this is happening for you, then I'll let you know what's going on with the tarot, what's going on. Sagittarius, Taurus for you is in your 6th house of work. It's the adult in the room, it's work, how you figure things out. Physical health, routines, co-workers, and therefore collaboration, pets, and therefore acts of service, right? As I said, it's the adult in the room. So often we can neglect a lot of those things and not really prioritize them in a sort of a mature way, and that is usually because of like versions of neglect that we may have faced when we were younger, that we're not able to be that adult in the room for ourselves because we might not necessarily have seen it so strongly in our early years. And this is a full moon happening, and it's conjunct Uranus and the fixed star Algol. This is pretty powerful energy, guys. There's genuinely no getting around it. What's come through in the collective reading, that's always the first reading out, and that acts as a baseline for what's going on here. And that's where I expand on the astrology in way more detail, even though I will get into the astrology here for you. And I pulled collective tarot cards, and that is just helps step into what is the most integrated, expansive intention of this moon and really flesh that out, right? That we're then working, as I said, acting as a baseline for what comes through in this reading. So if you want a deeper understanding of that, go check that collective reading out and come back and watch this. Now, I talk about in that collective reading a particular event that happened that is kind of really highlights the symbolism and the literalness of astrology, but it's tied in with what's happening here with Uranus and the moon and Algol, which, as I said, is a fixed star, which can be a bit of a difficult fixed star. It's linked into Medusa, and there's an element around of losing one's head and off with your head, and there's a certain political figure that grazed their ear recently, and I talk about the astrology around that in that collective reading, as well as the individual who released the propellant, right? So it's a sense of losing something, losing your mind, as well as the way that I'm tapping into it in a more figurative level, especially with Uranus, because Uranus is the path clearer, the breaker of chains, right? It really wants you to walk your path and be confident doing so as an individual rather than conforming to the collective. It's very eureka moments, lots of sudden ideas, sudden situations, it's sudden things happening that sort of change everything. It's very future thinking, but it can be a little bit disruptive in its nature. And so what I'm feeling with this moon, Algol, and Uranus around the head, right? It's also Medusa. There's a lot of distorted narratives around Medusa in terms of she was deemed to be this hideous monster, but there was a reason why she turned into that monster, right? So there's an element of reclaiming certain narratives and releasing old narratives and old perspectives in our heads that have blocked us from truly physically embodying the abundant universe, because Taurus is the physical senses. It's your personal connection to Earth. It's ruled by Venus, who wants us to feel good in the 3D world. It's an element of creativity and just slowing down and allowing us to enjoy the ride, basically. So this full moon in the 6th house of work, right? We can see a lot of limiting beliefs fall away around the way that you work, of really trusting in yourself, certain ideas falling away in terms of how you look at your health and your routines, how you work with other people, and how you take acts of service, releasing wounds around, as I said earlier, of that inner child, running riot and not necessarily allowing the adult to work together with that energy, and lots of blockages there I can see being released with this transit, as well as an elevation, eureka moments, new perspectives, high, more integrated, expansive consciousness around being the adult in the room, understanding the way that you work at a deeper level. You could see certain events around this full moon happening in terms of like, say there's a project that you've worked on with co-workers and that's coming to fruition, highlighting healthier relationship dynamics with co-workers. This is also potentially a time where you get a pet when you have a full moon in the 6th. So that's where Taurus is. And we want to look to where Venus is, because, rewind. So the sun is over in Scorpio, and that is in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, right? It's a bit of a difficult house. It's very magical at the same time. It's the hidden realms, the unconscious spaces, things going on behind the scenes. And in those unconscious spaces, we can have trauma responses and limiting beliefs, right? And we can have anxiety, depression. There's an element of loss and grief with the 12th, as well as isolation. I love the sun going through the 12th. That's where the sun is in Scorpio, because we then get some clarity. It's like a light in the darkness. Things are being revealed. But it is a focal point. You may have just found yourself going inward and getting divine inspiration. You may have just found perhaps anxiety and depression or grief and loss being highlighted in order for you to see differently around those things. But underneath all of that is the magic of your soul, and that is the cosmic joke of the universe, right? Of putting it underneath all those unconscious responses, where we then consciously, with the sun, become in awareness and be able to reconnect to that in deep-rooted intensity and loyalty of that Scorpio energy. So often things that are going on in the unconscious realms can have an impact on our physical health. So often we see the sun, when we have a full moon, highlighting the journey that you've been on. So there may be something of like understanding a cycle of anxiety and difficulties, and realizing the effect it's had on your physical body, and then coming to a higher level of conclusion and release around that. Often find a full moon with the 6 is really drawing in the magic of your soul into the way that you work and really elevating that. So that's going on, and this moon and the sun, they are making harmonious aspects to Pluto and Neptune, as well as the asteroid Ceres, who's coming into conjunction with Pluto. Now this is forming a cradle, which I forgot to mention in the collective reading. I touched on some energy around it, but wasn't quite upfront about it. And I clocked it in the Gemini reading. I was a bit annoyed that I'd missed out on that. And a cradle means an element of rebirth. An element of rebirth in your life. And this is really powerful, because what's going on, what's going on with Pluto, Neptune and Uranus, they are all making, and obviously Uranus is linked into where the moon is, they're all making harmonious aspects with one another at the moment, and they are they're the outer planets. They're linked into bigger archetypal shifts in and changes in the collective, in the consciousness. Oh, I didn't do the bottom of the deck. There we go. I need to cut the deck and got that one. I'm going to pull a couple of cards on Uranus and Saturn separately as well. Because Saturn's going direct before this full moon on the same day, which is wild. And so they're all in yin signs, these outer planets, and they're all making very harmonious aspects to one another. And I talk about it in great detail in the Pluto in Capricorn oracle reading, which I really do recommend, even though Pluto is going to be moving signs into Aquarius on the 19th. The setup that we've had with these outer planets in yin signs are serving this a really huge trajectory that we're all on, because they're all going to be moving into yang signs. So the essential essence of these three combined is a configuration of our root id power and our magnetism to draw towards us a deeper understanding and power around the magical reality that we actually live in. That's Neptune being retrograde, of dissolving the illusion around that, that's in alignment with our soul's path, right, of the Uranus. And as I said, in yin sign, so we're cultivating, we're bringing grounding, depth and nuance, we're observing and letting it all digest all of this influence. And as I said, these three outer planets along with Saturn are all moving into yang signs next year. Neptune will dip back into Pisces, but we're heading into this, then the action, right, with everything that's being cultivated here. And so what I talked about in that Pluto in Capricorn oracle reading is part of what's being embedded into this full moon. So right, Taurus in the 6th, you have Neptune over in Pisces in your 4th of your roots and your foundations, right, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, your parental figures, the roof over your head, the things that you do in private. And so that is influencing this sense of stronger foundations from a more abundant space of this magical reality, feeding into the way that you work, feeding into your connection of the magic of your soul, helping release denser paradigms with that anxiety, second guessing the way that you work, all of those kind of things, not being able to be the adult in the room. I can see Neptune dissolving a lot of parental and ancestral wounds that have blocked you from really being, fully in your own power in this incarnation. So we've got that going on. And then we have Pluto and Ceres, and Ceres is an asteroid that that represents okay, they're going back because they don't quite know where they want to go. That was Capricorn and the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like that's referencing what I'm just about to talk about. But so Ceres is an asteroid. She represents the grain mother, the earth mother, the harvest, the bounty coming in, the sense of nurturing, nourishment and nutrition, right? And a sense of resources and how it's a caretaking as well. And it's coming into conjunction with Pluto, and they're trining the moon. And this is in a fellow work house, right? You have earth signs for your work houses. And Pluto, you may have noticed a lot of fears coming up around your skills and your tools, how you manifest, how you bring in regular income, as well as the things that you value, and most importantly, how you value yourself. But that's all shifting and changing, and it's really with the combination of Ceres of finding the resources, finding the transformation and the deeper knowing and the magnetism of the power of your skills and tools, and upgrade around that. Of you may get a higher income, or you may get a new job or something around that line with this full moon, with Ceres and Pluto combined, as well as finding more nourishment in yourself, knowing your own value, which will then amplify your capacity to manifest, and valuing things that don't distort your value anymore. And so they're influencing the moon in the way that you work, because there's a heightened level of power and a deeper transformation around your skills, around how you value yourself. And so this is all coming into an alignment and rebirthing from from work, like in the physical realm, but then you've got those unconscious spaces and the sort of foundational energy, the dissolving of that, all allowing you to be more in your power. I just heard in terms of the Uranus energy, like they're saying it's going to be bringing in more future thinking, innovative, more galactic energy in the way that you work, right? And I am moving away from having fear around that, of bringing that to the table with co-workers, or how expectations of others of how you work. I came away from doing the collective reading, and the energies that I channel said, right, yeah, you got nearly everything. The one thing you didn't get, like, fully, was that, and this may not be for all of you, so always take what resonates, leave what doesn't, that there's going to be a lot more activations around unconventional working systems, right, in terms of like channeling and intuition and working with the magical realms, working with source. There's going to be stronger activations coming through for everybody. Everyone's a channeler, everyone's intuitive, we just all do it in our own different ways. But it's going to mean that if there's going to be situations where you're perhaps bringing that to more traditional frameworks, bringing that unconventional energy to more traditional frameworks. I've been talking about my own experience quite a lot with this download of, the movements that I do got activated nearly 4 years ago. The vocal light language that comes through got activated just before a Sagittarius new moon. Hi, Sad. And it's all a bit weird, isn't it, right? I've had to have it all happened, certainly the movements, after I'd gone through a lot of deep healing and realised I can't mask anymore. Having masked my entire life, I had to pull back those layers and slowly get more comfortable being myself, right? That's a challenge we all face. And it meant I had to be really upfront about the movements because they were happening while I was talking to people. And just in general, like, I can't mask anymore. But it meant I was having a lot of matter-of-fact conversations with people who might not necessarily agree with it. A lot of people think that doing tarot is the work of the devil. I've got a grandmother who's very Christian, and those conversations were awkward, but they needed to be done. And so I'm just using that as an example of, like, there's a potentiality of this happening and being pulled more into the collective, right? And you're having more conversations where you might have felt a little nervous before, a little unsteady. Obviously, always do it when when you feel confident and you feel safe. What they did say to me is there's going to be a lot of protection energy around everyone being able to do this, right? You're going to have the courage and the strength to be able to walk through that, and the consequences of it are not going to be drastic in your life unless it's part of your soul's journey to really crack you open. That happened to me. Uranus blew up my whole life for the better, but it was pretty difficult at the time. So we have all of that big energy going on. As I said, it feels like you're stepping into your power and your understanding of your own value. Now we want to look to where Venus is. Because Venus is obviously the ruler of Taurus, and whatever's going on with Venus is going to be influencing this moon. And Venus is over in the sign of Capricorn, along with Pluto and Ceres in your second house of how you value yourself. Love of Venus through the second house. You're able to get more creative about your skills and tools, feel more value and more appreciation of yourself and what you do. Definitely Venus can be linked into money, so maybe more resources coming in, or as I said, that pay rise of more regular income. But overall, just generally valuing yourself from a place of love, right? And finding more harmonious ways of working with your skills and your tools. So she's influencing this in the way that you work. So I can feel like a lot of upgrades coming in terms of your skills and tools that you're going to be able to put into practice. You're going to be able to figure out very quickly how to work with them and how to implement them in the way that you work. Now Venus is in Capricorn, and that is ruled by Saturn. So we want to look to where Saturn is, because Saturn is influencing what's going on with Venus. Now, as I said, depending on where you live, this is either happening on a Friday or a Saturday. Friday is Venus's day, Saturday is Saturn's day. So we've got this combination of Venus and Saturn going on, which we had No, which we didn't have with the Scorpio new moon. That was on Venus's day, just straight up. That there's a level of maturity and understanding of how you connect, what do you desire, and your relationships as well, your relationship with yourself. And Saturn is direct now. We've moved through the retrograde, no longer in summertime sadness, where we've been recalibrating certain difficulties, finding the wisdom within them, recalibrating our inner authority, our inner commitment to our legacy, and obviously that fourth house can have a lot of trauma responses there. It's the ancestors and the parental figures, right? But it's also your foundational space. And so everything that's sort of been mulling over and cultivating over the last couple of months, Saturn's now moving direct, where you're feeling more mature, you're feeling more confident in your own authority as you move through the world in your foundations, and an awareness of how those limitations may have helped facilitate a deeper level of commitment to your legacy and your foundational energy. And so it's influencing Venus of saying, okay, Venus, we get it, we understand desire and love, but let's do it from a very mature way that serves your foundational energy. Now, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. He also rules you, Sagittarius, traditionally. And so we want to look to where Jupiter is. And Jupiter is over in the sign of Gemini, which is opposite your sign, Sag. And this is the house of the other. This is one-on-one relationships, important relationships in your life. This can be business partners, clients, therapists, intimate friends, long-term committed romantic relationships, as well as your relationship with Source. So there's a focal point here of making sure that well, I can see two prongs with this. One, an element of inner wisdom around how certain relationships, or the way that you understand yourself in regards to relationships, the way that you show up for them. It may be there's some certain love languages that come from the parental figures, wounds in the 12th where the sun is, that has impacted the way that you work, right? So often when we're in certain romantic relationships specifically, we can give away all of our power, right? We can not have that healthy routine, not commit to our work. That sixth house is so important to have healthy relationships, because when you understand how you work, it's really going to facilitate the relationships that you go into, because you have an awareness. You're then able to sort of work together with other people, be able to communicate your understanding of the way that you work. That's just leading to healthier, more mature relationships. So Jupiter is influencing Saturn, therefore Venus, therefore the moon, around walking into situations and having a deeper embodied understanding in your physical senses about which energies are worth committing to. I can see this with a business partner, of collaborating in a project that's like elevating both of your incomes, or working together with a romantic partner, as well as Source, getting more wisdom from Source, that's having giving you stronger foundations, that's allowing you to really know that you are valued and that you are loved. Now, Mercury ruled by, Gemini ruled by Mercury, and Gemini's in your sign. Mercury's in your sign. Oh my goodness, Sag, my words are tripping over myself. Mercury is going to go retrograde in your sign, so maybe I'm picking up on that a little bit. Can't always blame it on Mercury retrograde. So this is what's called mutual reception, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And so even though this is a Venus moon, it's a Taurus moon ruled by Venus, all the things that I just talked about are being governed by Mercury and Jupiter combined. So mutual reception, they're in each other's realms. They're psychically hot linked to each other. They're able to facilitate. Okay, you got an extra oracle card. They facilitate each other's journey. They're really supportive. And so you have Mercury over in your first house of self, right? So Mercury in the first, your spidey senses are up, your body's telling you a lot of things. You often find yourself communicating about yourself. There's a lot of wisdom coming through, a deeper understanding of your embodiment of who you are. Now, in the collective tarot, I can't remember if I mentioned this, a lot of swords showed up, which made sense with the Uranus algol releasing of perspectives in the head that block us embodying the abundance of the 3D world in our physical body, like our physical senses not being in trauma responses or in the environment, but there's a fresh energy coming in. And then the fact that this moon is being governed by Mercury and Jupiter. Like Jupiter's more about wisdom and faith and the sense of expansion And Mercury is about the details and the information that we're collecting in our perspective, and they're working together. So we've got an elevation of this around the self and the other. So I can definitely see with the combination of the 4th and the 12th, limiting beliefs around co-creation, around commitment, working together, collaboration, and having healthier, stronger, mature relationship dynamics. So that's what's going on with the moon. So let's look over to the sun, as I said, in Scorpio, which is traditionally ruled by Mars. So where's Mars? Mars is over in Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So we have another level of mutual reception, this time between the sun and Mars. And so there's an alignment here. Where is Leo for you? It's in your 9th house of your perspectives, right? This is how you map yourself out in the world. It's your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, your connection to book, religion, source, science, nature, all of those matrices that are bigger than you that you're figuring yourself out in. And so Mars is there. Mars is going to go retrograde here and then head back into Cancer. It's going to start the retrograde, I believe, in December. And but Mars in the 9th is great because your actions, your motivations, your drives are in alignment with your perspectives. And this they're square each other, Scorpio and Leo, by sign. But they aren't by aspects, because Mars is right at the beginning of Leo, the sun is right at the end of Scorpio. But again, they're working together. Your unconscious spaces, the magic of your soul in alignment with your perspectives. I can see a lot of clarity and vision that's clearing the clutter in the unconscious realm, especially highlighting and seeing, okay, where my motivations aren't in alignment, where they're part of distorted fear spaces, and really working to build from the heart space from the magic of your soul. So you've got a higher perspective coming in. You've got a shift in your motivation, drive, and action through clarity of vision of the sun and Mars working together. So this is a real powerhouse. And as I said, it's kind of like we're being rebirthed with that cradle aspect into this new embodiment of this new paradigm, right? So we've had massive shifts go on. We've changed our paradigm, we've shifted timeline, but now we're currently taking our time working out and figuring out the tools of this new landscape. And one of them really is faith and trust, right? And that's come in with the Jupiter energy, Taurus of the physical senses and Venus of the abundance, of really trusting in the process, right? Taurus can be very slow. It's the slowest sign in the zodiac. It's fixed earth and it's the bull, right? Bulls take their time, but they get where they need to go. Right, let's crack on with the tarot. Did I even say what the tarot was? Okay, what is being released, right? This is more of the shadow aspect, right, of what you've been working through, any blockages, frustrations, as I said, inner work, of what's being released with this full moon, what's being integrated. So this is the flip side of the coin of the elevation, of the integration, of the expansion, what's being integrated with the full moon, because full moons do mark completion energy, right? I work with 6-month cycles, so what comes through in this is serving you for the next 6 months, because we then get a download at that full moon that we then work to the Taurus new moon next year. So pile 3 is the download, pile 4 is how to work with that download and really facilitate that activation. And as I said, I've pulled some cards for Uranus and Saturn separately because they're big. That's big energy that's coming through. Okay, so what is being cleared out? What is coming to an end? 5 of Cups and the Page of Cups in reverse. So this is a kind of a really straightforward energy. That 5 of Cups is about grief. It's about loss of flow and a real sense of love and connection, right? That 3 of Cups. And it's a heaviness, there's a density. So you may have just not found the joy in the way that you work, or not found any sort of satisfaction or co-creation with co-workers. There may be just some frustration of just not being able to tap into your reservoir of being the adult in the room. There may be some wounds around the inner child, wanting play all the time, wanting that sense of celebration, and there may not have been things to celebrate. There may have perhaps had you stuck in this space of like, what is it going to work out? Like, that can be relationships, that can be work itself. Am I going to figure these things out, or am I going to stay reflective on what's come before, which I'm not quite feeling at the moment, right? And then we have the Page of Cups in reverse, and this is not being able to see the joy in life, right? The sense of magic in yourself, right? The new ideas, the new visions coming in. It's a very sort of heavy, stuck energy there. But that's what's being released, right? This cycle of grief, and not having the brainstorming and the new ways of coming out of it. Now, what is being integrated into your vessel? Woo-hoo-hoo. Hi, Venus, and the Knight of Wands. Love this. Really like this. Okay, obviously Wands, that's fire. That's you, Sag. Venus. We got the Venus energy coming through. This is this is what's being integrated with the release of that grief process. The release of that block is a capacity to see abundance, creativity, fertility, renewal, a sense of love and appreciation and value of the way that you work, new ideas, and you're embodying it with that Knight of Wands in your actions and your deeds. With this Knight of Wands, there's a sense of movement, of new action coming in, right? Of you being able to put all of this fertility into practice. That is a far cry away from that Five of Cups. Okay, what's the download? What are you then going to be working? What are you working with over the next 6 months? So you got the Empress and the Emperor. That can be something around divine working together, divine counterparts. That doesn't have to just be romantic. It can be on a working level or a friendship level, where there's an energy of collaboration. There's an energy of union of the feminine and masculine, not sex specific. We have it within all of us. But again, that 6th house is about working together and co-creating. And I really like that Venus Emperor energy showing up of like, you know, both parties, whether it's source and you or source and you and other people, of really being able to work together at your highest level, right? We've got the Three of Pentacles as well, which again, this is mastery of self and collaboration. This figure is stuck by who they are and how they work. And so they're very authentic in their nature. And that's drawn towards them others who have different skills in order to build something beautiful and long lasting. That is brilliant for the 6th house, because there's co-workers, there's collaboration. It's also other skills that may be coming through, because there's an ownership here of the self that's allowing you to build your vessel and build from your place of power. In fact, that was a phrase that I said for you of this rebirth, of really, really knowing who you are and what you're able to bring to the table. And this is a mature energy, and this is about building something like your vessel, your physical body, really looking after yourself and collaborating with your work, your physical health and routines all combined together. That's bringing in your power. Aries energy is your creation energy, your 5th house of play, joy, amusement, games, romance, dating, as well as children, literal and figurative children, but it is inherently your creativity. So I love that this Aries energy is coming through, of you having fun with it, right? You enjoying it, you enjoying work, you being very confident in your own experiences. Okay, how to work with this energy. We have the Four of Cups and the Sun. So the Four of Cups is looking at the Three of Cups. This is comparison is the thief of joy. We all do it, right? I've been doing a lot of work of celebrating everything around me, even if there might be a slight twinge. If someone's experiencing life in a way that I would like to be experiencing it. And that's what's going on here with the Four of Cups. They're looking at these things, this flow, this joy, this celebration of the Three of Cups. And they're feeling like it's very out of reach, but they're not really doing anything about it. So when we project that sort of separation energy, like arms crossed, legs crossed, we then, it diminishes our connection to it, right? So this card is saying, hey, let's focus on, it's calling you to focus on where you feel like this and try and reorientate your energy, right? Say someone got a pay rise. Say a co-worker they're on a project, everyone's listening to them, even though it's actually been your ideas, right? That kind of energy. Someone's got a pay rise, someone's got a job that you'd love, you're not quite in a happy environment with your health, you're seeing other people doing really well. It's genuinely that kind of energy, and it's also a heavy, stagnant, non-motivated energy as well. So the card's saying, hey, try and reflect on that. But you see that Ace of Cups that's coming through, and so there's always a sense of a renewal that is coming when we observe, when we're in this state. And the Sun is saying the same thing. Put some vision on it, put some joy. Oh, something's going funny with the lighting right now. You know, you've got the inner child here, and they're free, and they're gay, they're playing. There's a lightness here. It's a big yes energy, lots of vibrancy, lots of animation. So it's saying, figure out where this is and try and bring the Sun into it. And reorientate back to finding the joy and the love in something, right? And cultivating that frequency. So what do we have at the bottom of the deck before I pulled the cards for Uranus and Saturn? We have the Star. Actually, it wasn't at the bottom of the deck. I'd forgotten. I cut the deck and got the Star. So this is Aquarius energy. And so this is all about the deep healing process and also becoming more uniquely yourself, right? Embodying the galactic energy on this planet. So there may be something around your work practice that is linked into the healing modalities, that you're activating a more unique process in which you bring that to others in the service that you do. There's also a very powerful healing process that you're going through with the Sun in the Sun in the 12th of the unconscious responses, and the Moon over in the 6th of if you've been suffering from something, you're going to get a clue and a download come through that's going to help you on this healing process. This is also about hoping and dreaming in different ways. It's a very powerful energy. And they're just highlighting this water and the eddies that are flowing. That's opening up new pathways for you to bring that magic of the water, fixed water, Scorpio, right? Even though this is Aquarius, into into the way that you work, into the earthly realm of Taurus. And apply it on a day-to-day, because this is Aquarius in your 3rd house of your day-to-day, right? And the way that you communicate. Oh, that was, I had a big energy release at that. Okay, I'll do that one after I've done these. So what is Uranus up to? 9 of Wands in reverse and the Lovers. Hello, Gemini. No longer feeling, so this is no longer feeling exhausted, burnt out, constantly on the defensive, all on your own, having to do the good fight, not having any support, right? So this can your physical health, the way that you work, perhaps not being seen, or maybe a low-level conflict always coming, maybe internally with your understanding of the way that you work, as well as externally. It's often the internal that then gets manifested. So Uranus is releasing this limiting belief, right? That you are exhausted, burnt out, and never celebrated for the work that you do, and working together with others in a really healthy way. And it's come with the Lovers. And this is obviously Gemini. So for some of you, this might be about bringing in healthier relationship dynamics on a romantic level, right? As well as working together one-on-one with other people, where there's an integration, all coming together of collaboration, as well as falling in love with the way that you work again. So Saturn in Pisces, what's it up to? We've got the Queen of Swords and the Chariot, a higher perspective. You've obviously gone through some stuff, right? I can definitely see, I've got Saturn in the 4th natally. It's great, sort of. Yeah, no, it really is. But challenges. And there's obviously, with the Queen of Swords, she's gone through some difficult times, but she's come through with a heightened level of clarity. You see that bird? That's above her crown chakra. So she's got wisdom and understanding and messages from her crown, and she's really open to receive the new reality. So Saturn is allowing you to now cultivate a new perspective around what you've been going through in the 4th, right? Of establishing a higher level of understanding in your foundational energy. This may be healthier relationships with parental figures, with the ancestors, and also just coming out the other side if you've been living in a difficult living situation where you've not had, your authority respected. That can often be Saturn in the 4th. and really step into your own power. And then we have the Chariot. This is about movement and momentum. And this could be some of you moving home, right? But energetically, this is Cancer. And that's your 8th house of outside world's resources and relationship dynamics. So the healthier relationship dynamics, definitely with the people that you live with. But the Chariot is all about movement, with the acknowledgement that everything that's happened to you up to this point has been a resource for you to get into your flow without trying to control where you're going and what you're doing, and just feeling very confident within yourself that you're gonna make the right decisions when you need to, right? There are no reins with the Chariot. It's a victory card. So overall, Saturn is saying whatever's going on in your home life or with your energetic foundations, you're feeling very clear-minded. And the new perspective is coming in. That's, you're feeling very confident and very victorious of where you're headed, and with that energy. So your oracle cards are Crown Games, right use of power. This showed up for the Aries full moon and the Scorpio new moon. Wrong book. And this is linked into the Pluto dynamic, right? Of how do we work with power? How do we work with conflict, with this sense of domination and subjugation that we can often get in our denser frequencies? Leadership, responsibility, accountability, right use of power. There is a game of power played by all people, whether they're conscious of it or not. It concerns who has it and who doesn't, how to get more of it, and not to lose that which you have, how to wield it wisely and not get drunk with it and cause harm. These are the matters you need to ponder now that you find yourself in the Crown Games too. I love this with the Emperor, right? Of you stepping into a greater level of power. And this is just a little nudge of saying, okay, make sure you don't go to the reverse of that. You want to be the top, the best, the most effective, the most beloved. You may discover that your deep desire to help others is disguising the underpinnings of this complex game. Power and all it entails can be both dangerous and productive, destructive and redemptive. Which will it be for you? Can you forgive without condoning and keep your dignity when challenged? Will you be accountable, amenable to change or making amends? Can you let go of your need to rescue others? Lead with humility while letting others discover their way home. Now you're learning that empowerment comes with a price and sacrifice for sovereignty. This is a time to pick your battles, use strategy and temper your reactions. You have the power to make a beautiful difference on behalf of others. Can you see power as a currency that you must spend judiciously? True power is stewarded wisely, for it is given from the divine, not from the ego. In all your relations, the greatest beauty is when power is shared. If you're in a higher position, it's even more important to be kind and respectful. Ask for guidance. It will come to you when you choose compassion over your own goals and desires. When you stop caring about who wears the crown, true success and influence appears for you. That's kind of tying in with that Four of Cups, of the comparison is the thief of joy, right? Of then clawing at it and wanting that power, wanting what everyone else has rather than just being in balance with the self. But what I'm getting with this is a heightened level of responsibility and also of sovereignty that you're stepping into, that it's just kind of letting you know that there are certain things that may come up because of that you need to integrate and step into, as it says, this space of compassion, right, and balance, and realizing we're all equal. There is no one stronger than the other. We're all coming at things from different ways. And so this may be in relation to your relationship with co-workers, as well as a heightened responsibility with your workload, that may lead you to burnout, may lead you to, and then when we're tired, when we're in pain, when we're hungry, this is when the sort of these distortions can come out. At the bottom of the deck, we have the crossing initiation. Rite of passage, initiation. Oh, let me swap hands. I'm still getting used to the new setup. You have come to stand on one side of a river. The opposite bank leads into the darkness of the eternal cave, where the old dies and then is born again. This is a place where time is forgotten, and the seasons cease their dance and stand still, as if in temporary repose. You must cross the river now, honouring and respecting this transition, for it's time to say goodbye to your old ways of navigating the world. Don't be afraid. You've come to the edge of the river because you're ready. You're ready to let go of what doesn't serve you, and all the ways in which you've kept yourself from truly living. Intimacy requires vulnerability and truth. Can you strip away the masks and the barriers of false strength to discover what you're truly made of? Step into the boat waiting for you. Let it carry you into the cave, where the shadows are waiting to be illuminated, so you can be born again into the world without denial or artifice. Making the crossing is a beautiful, powerful act of the highest love. So this is kind of tying into like those one-on-one relationships, and allowing yourself to be more open, more vulnerable, and realizing that that is a place of power. And that might be working one-on-one with people in a working environment, with clients, where, you know, certainly in the healing modalities, it's becoming more and more in the consciousness of, we're just facilitators for the agency of the other person to do their own healing, do their own work, and claim their own autonomy. And sometimes in the way that we work, you know, Taurus is pretty stubborn. It's fixed energy. I say that as someone who's mostly fixed in their energy. There can be some resistance around accepting of that. And so I really like the message that's come through to help get that into alignment. And also right with yourself, you know, and not trying to dominate certain parts of yourself, and allow that all to be integrated so you can access the higher level of your skills and your tools. Okay, so first up from Rainbow Brainskull. By the way, all the decks are in the description box, as always, if any of them take your fancy. The work is whatever uncomfortable thing that is in front of you right now at this moment. So love that we got work for the 6th house, and also this was an early Christmas present, and it came right in time for the Scorpio transit. I feel like this is also highlighting the Scorpio energy that we often neglect because we're a bit scared, but we need to do it. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasures you seek. A simple but difficult message. It's time to confront the uncomfortable and engage in whatever you're working so hard to avoid. I feel like this is stepping into your own power, Sad, right? Or sometimes we can be a bit nervous about what we would become in that space, or that we shouldn't take up that space. And I really feel like this is you stepping into your power, and how that may make you feel a bit uncomfortable. Remember, even though you may know what you need to do, you can't know all the rewards waiting on the other side. Love, 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 love. Right, what else we've got next? So we'll have this one, and then what's at the bottom of the deck. Okay, where are we? 59. There is no such thing as the end, only the strangest change there has ever been. Ooh, I think my lens is a bit blurry. I'm apologizing. I make my own face creams and body cream, and there's a lot of oil in them, so there's always smears everywhere. Being an awareness is a never-ending mystery with no finale. Don't fear the end. It is only change. Don't fear change. It is never the end. Again, highlighting that there's some real radical shift that's coming in that may make you feel uncomfortable within yourself, or may see a response of power dynamics that when we go to extremes, right? It can be both of those things. And stepping into your power in the right way. Evolve into a non-complainer. The highest vibration one can achieve is to be okay with any outcome, like the monk from all those stories would often say after any bad thing happened. This feels like this, right? This is doubling down on the intention of, I think I talked about it in the collective reading, and also in the Scorpio collective reading, of how I'm really noticing that everything that's happening, even the mistakes, the things going wrong or things not turning out quite in alignment, are all facilitating future experiences that actually serve us in the long run. And so I'm really finding I'm becoming more and more embodied. I'm no longer in conflict with, things, probably quite rightly I've got to complain about, but I'm coming to that so moment. And honestly, it's so liberating. And more and more that I do this, the more, without me trying, what I need comes without me needing to facilitate it. So I'm going to leave it on that. That said, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, hit that like button. It brings me a lot of joy. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to dive a bit further into this or anything else, my details are everywhere. Be good to yourself, Sag. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.